Can you hear me, all of you? Yes or no? Okay, fine. So, electricity went off over here. Fine. So now I've connected through another hotspot. Fine. So I was telling you that there are two requirements of a control strategy. The first is it should cause motion, and the second is it should be systematic. Systematic means that you cannot apply the rules randomly. See, in the water jug problem, suppose you are not applying the rules in this order. So you are applying any rule randomly. So it will cause some motion, it will change the states, but will it lead to the goal state? It will actually cause some local motion. You will change the states, but will it ultimately lead towards your goal state? It will actually lead towards your goal state in many states. You will even repeat the same state because you're applying the rules randomly. So if you're applying the rules randomly, it will change the states, and it will cause some local motion. You will change the states, but actually it will take so much time to reach your goal state, and it is not guaranteed also that you will reach your goal state. Eventually you will reach, but how much time it will take to reach, that will be unpredictable because you are applying the rules randomly, right? So it will cause a local motion, but it will not cause a global motion. Global motion means that you will not be able to reach your goal state. So global motion means you are progressing towards your goal state. Local motion means some change of state, but that is not leading towards the goal state. Global motion means you are ultimately moving towards your globally best solution or your goal state, right? So if your control strategy has to be systematic, it should cause both local and global motion. Local motion means it should change the states, and global motion means it should change the states in such a way that it is moving towards your goal state. Fine. So these are the two requirements of a good control strategy, that it should be causing motion, and it should be systematic in the sense that it should cause both local and global motion. So if you choose the rules randomly, it is not a systematic strategy. Fine. And for the first case, if you choose only the first rule always, and you choose the first rule from the list and always apply the first rule, it will cause motion. It will not cause motion actually. So in the water jug problem, if we apply the first rule always, so that will not cause motion. And in the water jug problem, if we apply the rules randomly, that will cause motion, but it is not a systematic strategy. So then what should be the control strategy which is having motion also, and which is systematic also? So let us look at some control strategy which is satisfying both these requirements. So there are two control strategies: breadth first search and depth first search. Okay. So breadth first search and depth first search, I think students, you might have done in your data structures course also, BFS, DFS. Have you done breadth first and depth first search? Yes. Okay. All of you have done? Okay, fine. So this is the same concept. Yes. So this is the same concept. So the control strategy which is causing motion as well as it is systematic. So that is BFS and DFS. So let us first study breadth first search. So you already know the background of what is BFS and what is DFS. So let us just brush up the concept of breadth first and depth first search. So in a breadth first search, we start with the initial state as a root, right? We start with the initial state as a root, and then we generate all the children of that root. So basically all the next states from that root. How you will get the next state? So you will apply the rules. Whatever are the applicable rules on the initial state, that you will apply. So multiple rules can be applied to the initial state, and they will generate multiple next states. Fine. So that will be the children of the initial state. Now from each of the child, you will generate the successors of that child by applying all the rules that are applicable on that child. Fine. So when you start from the initial state, that is the root, you will generate the children of that root, and from each of the children again you apply the rules, and then you again generate the children of that children. And this you do for all the children. And then when you generate the third level, at that level, whatever nodes are there, for that nodes also, you generate the children of that node by applying the rules, whatever the rules are applicable. So those rules you apply to generate the successors of that successor, and so on. So basically you generate the levels. So from the initial node, that means the root node, you generate the first level of successors, and then from the first level of successors, you generate the next level of successors by applying all the rules that are applicable on those successors. Then from that next level of successors, you generate the another level of successors, and so on. So you continue this process until you reach your goal state. So this process is called breadth first search. So it's basically another way of writing it is we call it as a level by level search. So we are searching level by level. So it basically starts from the initial state as a root node and then generate all the children of that root node. How it generates the children? By applying the each of the applicable rules to the initial state. So if multiple rules are applicable, then multiple next states would be generated. Then from the multiple next states, you will generate the multiple next states of those states. And you will continue the process until you reach a goal state. So level by level, you are expanding your tree. So for example, this is how the breadth first search tree of water jet problem looks like. See here, if you see here, you are just see the left hand side diagram. So if you see that left hand side diagram, you are starting with 0, 0 as your initial state, right? You're starting with 0, 0 as your initial state. And then from this 0, 0, you have two options. You can apply either rule number 1 and you will get this 4, 0 as a next state, or you can apply rule number 2 and you can get 0, 3 as a next state. So basically rule number 1 says fill the 4-gallon jug, rule number 2 says fill the 3-gallon jug. So both the rules are applicable in the initial state. So with from 0, 0, you can have both the rules possible. So that means the two next states are possible. So the next level of the tree would be containing these two states. So that will be 4, 0 and 0, 3. Fine. So this is the next level how you have generated. Now, from each of these children, you can even generate the further successors. How? So you see the first child 4, 0. So from 4, 0, whatever are the possible options? So that you have to explore. So from 4, 0, the possible options are that you can basically fill the 3-gallon jug. So you'll get 4, 3, right? The other option is you could empty both the jugs. So you will get again the initial state 0, 0. And the third option could be you could pour the water from 4-gallon jug to the 3-gallon jug until the 3-gallon jug is full. So then you will get the next state as 1, 3. Fine. Can you have any other state from 4, 0? So one state could be fill the 3-gallon jug. Other state could be empty both the jugs. That means empty the 4-gallon jug. And the third state could be pour the water from 4 to 3 until 3 is full. Any other state is possible? I don't think any other state is possible, right? Any other state is possible, students? Tell me. 3 states are there, 4, 3, 0, 0 and 1, 3. Any other state possible? No. Okay. Yeah. So no other state is possible. So that means the next states, yes. So no other state is possible. So that means you have only 3 next states. So the 3 successors of 4, 0 are 4, 3, 0, 0 and 1, 3. Fine. Now you also find the successors now for the 0, 3 node. So from 0, 3 you can have the next states as 4, 3 because 4, 3 would be when you fill the 4-gallon jug you will get 4, 3. Then you empty both the jugs, so you'll get 0, 0. And then you can transfer the water from here and there. So you can transfer all the water from 3-gallon jug to the 4-gallon jug. So you'll get the state as 3, 0. Right? So again 3 options are there from 0, 3 state, 4, 3, 0, 0 and 3, 0. So these are the 3 options from the state 0, 3. I don't think any other option is available here also. So only 3 options are available. Either you fill or you empty or you pour from here to there. So 3 options are there. So like this, you get the three successors for 0, 3 and three successors you got for 4, 0 also. So total of six successors you got in the third level. Now from all these successors, you start one by one and generate their successors. So you start with 4, 3, you generate the successors, then you go to 0, 0 and generate the successors, then for 1, 3 you generate the successors, then for 4, 3 again, then for 0, 0 and then for 3, 0. So basically you generate the successors for each of these successors. Fine. And like this, you go on generating, or you can say expanding this tree and generating the next level of successors until you get your goal state. So your goal state is 2 comma 0. So if you reach a node where you are getting 2 comma 0 state, so that will be the successful search. So that will be your goal state. So at that time you will stop expanding this tree further because you have already reached the goal state. So this is a breadth first search. An important thing in breadth first search is this thing you have to note here, students, that in the breadth first search, what we do is we expand level by level, and when we expand the successors, we generate the children of that successor and put it at the end of the list. Okay. So if you see the algorithm for breadth first search, just see the algorithm for breadth first search, then you will understand what I am trying to tell you. So just see the algorithm for BFS. So here you create a variable called node list and set it to the initial state. So your initial state is basically you have a variable called node list and set it to the initial state. And then until a goal state is found or the node list is empty, you remove the first element from the node list and call it E. And then you are basically generating the next states from that E. So if each rule is if whatever rules are matching that particular state E, those rules you apply to generate the next states. So now if the next state is a goal state, you quit, and otherwise you will add the next state to the end of node list. So this is the algorithm for breadth first search. What we are doing here is, so here you are actually creating a node that is your initial state, and that from that node, that's called as a node list basically. So initially it is containing only the first state, that is the root node. So then you remove that root node and you're calling it as E. So then you generate all the successors of E, and if it's a goal state among those successors, then it is good. Otherwise, what you do is you add the successors to the end of the list. Fine. So what this last statement is doing, this last statement is very important. Otherwise, add the new state to the end of the node list. So this statement is very important over here because this actually defines the working of BFS. So just see here, students. Okay. So if you see the second diagram, suppose you have generated from 0, 0, you have generated two states, 4, 0 and 0, 3. Okay, now these two states you are further expanding, and from 4, 0 you have generated the three children. That means you have generated 4, 3, 0, 0 and 0, 1, 3. So these three children of 4, 0 that you have generated, these three children will be added to the last of 0, 3. Okay, so two child were there from 0, 0 when you started initially. So when you started from this root node, you had two children, 4, 0 and 0, 3. Now when you get the children of 4, 0, these will be placed after 0, 3. Okay. Why? Why this is so? So if you generate the children of 4, 0, they will be placed after 0, 3 in the list. So in the node list, they will be placed after 0, 3. Why? Because after you have generated the children of 4, 0, I want to expand 0, 3 also. I want to generate the children of 0, 3 also. And then only I want that the children of 4, 0 should be expanded. Okay. So breadth first search actually works on the principle of using queues, first in first out basically structure. So first in first out means that whatever children are generated first, they will be expanded first. Okay. So if I have generated 4, 0 first and then I have generated 0, 3. So 4, 0 will be expanded first and then 0, 3 will be expanded. Okay. So 4, 0 would be expanded and its children would be generated. Now its children would not be expanded its children would be expanded after you expand 0, 3. Okay, so that is why you are placing all the children of 4, 0 after 0, 3. So that first of all you expand 0, 3 and you get the children of 0, 3. Now once you have expanded 4, 0 also and 0, 3 also, now you come to the children of 4, 0 and try to expand them. So after you have expanded 4, 0, then 0, 3, then you will expand 4, 3. And then 0, 0, then 1, 3, then 4, 3, then 0, 0, then 3, 0. Then, okay, so basically, whatever children are generated first, they will be expanded first. So since 4, 0 is after 0, we started from the initial node. That means we started from 0, 0, we generated 4, 0 and 0, 3. So 4, 0 was generated first, so it will be expanded first. Then 0, 3 will be expanded. And then the children of 4, 0 would be expanded. So that is why after you generate the children of 4, 0, you will place them at the end of the list so that they come after 0, 3. So this is what is written over here. So you take the element from the node list. So initially it is a root node only and you're calling it as E, and you generate the next states from E. And then you add those next states at the end of the list. So you are removing the first element from the list and expanding it, and whatever children it is having after expansion, those children you are adding to the end of the list, so that they will be expanded in the end because they are the children. So they have been generated just now only. That means they will be expanded later. Is it okay, students? Breadth first search concept? Okay. Fine, okay. So this was breadth first search. Is it okay, students? I didn't receive any response from you. Is it okay, breadth first search? Okay, fine. So breadth first search is this, and then there is another method, depth first search. So depth first search is we go branch by branch in depth first search. So in case of breadth first search, you are expanding level by level. So from 0, 0 you are expanding to 4, 0 and 0, 3. Then you are expanding to 6 children, and then you are expanding to another level of children, and so on. That's called as breadth first search, level by level search. Now, when you do it in a branch wise manner, so you pursue a single branch of the tree. Okay, so in depth first search, you pursue a single branch of the tree until it yields to a solution. So it will yield to a solution, or otherwise it will lead to a dead end. So sometimes what can happen is, so just see this depth first search tree. So just see this depth first search tree. Sometimes what can happen is that suppose you start from this initial state 0, 0 and you generate the next state as 4, 0. So in the depth first search, you are generating all the next possible states. But in the depth first search, you generate just one next possible state and you go on in that branch only. So you go on going further in that branch only. So here you generate from 0, 0, you generate 4, 0. Then the next possible state from 4, 0, you will check and generate that state. So from 4, 0, let us say you are filling the 3-gallon jug. So your next state becomes 4, 3. Then again, you are emptying the 4-gallon jug. So your next state becomes 0, 3. And then again, from 0, 3, you are again filling the 4-gallon jug. So your next state becomes again 4, 3. So this is a way of progressing in the depth first manner. Depth first means you progress along one single branch of the tree. So it's called as a branch by branch search. And when will you stop in a depth first search tree? Until you will reach a solution. So if you reach a solution, that means if you reach the state 2, 0 somewhere, that means you will stop. So if you reach the state 2, 0, you will stop. Otherwise, when will you stop? If you will, suppose you have decided that after a certain specific number of states that I have generated, I will not go further, because if I go further exploring that particular path, it is unfruitful. Let us say I have explored 10 nodes in this path, and after 10 nodes also I am not able to reach 2, 0 state. So I will just say that I will stop over here because this path is not leading to a solution. So that's called as a futility limit. Futility limit means that so it's called as a futility limit. Futility limit means that you have reached a pre-specified depth. So you had specified that after reaching a level 10, I will not go further. So that's a futility limit for you. Or sometimes you may reach even the previous state. So if you see in this case, after this, the last state is 4-3. That is already generated state. 4-3 was the third state also and the fifth state also. Right? So sometimes if you reach the previous state again, so at that time you will realize that you are in a loop kind of a structure. You have already generated that state and again you are generating that state. So that means you are not progressing further. You are basically stuck up in a loop kind of a structure. Right? So at that time you will stop. So you will not progress further. So this is one condition. So if you are generating a duplicate state, you will stop. If you have reached a pre-specified depth or a futility limit, you will stop. Or you have reached a dead end where you cannot progress further, it is not reaching to any solution, you will stop. So what you do after stopping? So these are the cases when you will stop. And when you stop, what you do is you backtrack. Okay, so this is an important thing in depth first search. When you realize that you cannot proceed further because it is not that path is not leading to a solution, so at that time you backtrack. Okay, so backtracking means it is called as chronological backtracking. So just see here, the term is chronological backtracking. So we go back and explore the other branches. So this is what happens over in this depth first search. Suppose you realize at this point of time, after you reach this 4,3 in the last, so after you reach this 4,3 in the last, you realize that it is not reaching towards a solution. So this path is unproductive path. So you will backtrack and you will try some other branch. So where you will backtrack just one level up. So this is one important thing to note here in depth first search. This is one important thing to note here, that whenever you backtrack only one level up. So you will try the other options from that one level only, one level up. So from 4,3, you will backtrack to 0,3 and then you will try for the other child of 0,3. So you will generate the other child of 0,3. So other child of 0,3 could be 3,0, right? So from 3-gallon jug, if you transfer all the water from 3-gallon jug to the 4-gallon jug, your next state would become 3,0, right? So 3,0 could be the next state, could be the other possible child of 0,3 instead of this 4,3. So instead of choosing this 4,3, now you choose that 3,0. So that will be the other branch of the tree. So generally when we realize that a particular branch of the tree is not leading towards a solution, so what we do is we backtrack to just one level up and try some other child. So try exploring some other branch. So in this case, you will generate the child of 0,3 as 3,0 and then you will explore that whether 3,0 is leading towards a solution or not. If it is leading, then you will explore the further branches, further children of 3,0 and we will go on until you reach 20. Fine. So if you are still not able to find the solution in this 0,3 also, suppose you generate the next child of 0,3 as 3,0 and 3,0 is also not your solution, then you will further backtrack one level further up. So then you will go one level further up to this 4,3. Okay. And then you will try to generate the other child of 4,3. And if you are still not able to find out the solution, then you will again backtrack to one more level up. So then you will go to 4,0. And then finally you will go to the root node and generate the other branch of the tree. So always the backtracking is chronological. So whatever branch you have just explored, that from that branch only you try to generate the further branches. So you go back and explore the other branches from just the branch which you have just explored. So just one level up you go. If you are still not able to find the solution, then you go the 2 levels up. If you are still not able to find the solution, then you go 3 levels up and so on. So this is called as chronological backtracking. So this particular procedure is called as depth first search. So this is the algorithm for depth first search. You start with your initial state and you generate the successors of the initial state. So you generate the successor of the initial state, and If that successor is your goal state, then you will stop. Otherwise, you will call the depth first search on that successor, right? So basically, if you're calling that successor as E, so you will call depth first search on E again. And then, so E would become now the initial state. So you start with the initial state and then you generate the successor E of the initial state. And then you call the depth first search with E as an initial state. And then you will check whether there is a goal state reached or not. If the goal state is not reached, then again you will generate the successor of E, and that successor would become the initial state, and then you will again call the depth first search with E with that state as an initial state, and you will continue like this. So basically, in this, you are basically generating the successors and then calling depth first search on that successor. Then again generating the successor of that successor and again calling depth first search on that successor, and so on until you reach the goal state. So it's basically a branch by branch search. If you are able to find the solution in that particular branch, you will stop. Otherwise, you will backtrack and explore the other branches of the tree, right? So basically, in the worst case, depth first search would also explore all the branches of the tree, isn't it? So in the breadth first search, we explore all the combinations. So basically, in the breadth first search, we'll try all the states which are possible. But in the depth first search, we explore only one single branch of the tree. But if that branch of the tree is not leading towards a solution, then we backtrack and explore some other branch of the tree. If that branch is also not leading towards a solution, then we will again backtrack and try some other branch of the tree. If that third branch is also not leading towards solution, we'll go to a fourth branch. If that fourth branch is also not leading towards solution, we'll backtrack and try the fifth branch, like this. So in the worst case, if you consider a backtracking version of depth first search tree, in the worst case you have backtracked and explored all the branches. So it's basically, in the worst case, depth first search tree would be nothing but a, so in what would be a depth first search tree equivalent to in the worst case? Are you listening, students? So my question is, if in the worst case, if you are backtracking and trying all the branches of the depth first search tree, then in the worst case, depth first search tree is equivalent to what? Waiting for your answer, students. Breadth first search. Okay. So two students only have given the answer. I think remaining don't know, or they are listening or not. I don't know. All of you agree with this? Breadth first search. So basically, if you are yes, so basically, if you are in the worst case, so in that case, your depth first search means you are exploring all the branches of the tree. So in the worst case, when you are doing depth first search with backtracking, it will actually traverse the entire search space. So it is nothing but a breadth first search traversal only. So in the worst case, depth first search tree would generate all the states which breadth first search could generate. So in the worst case, DFS would be equivalent to BFS, right? So then we have the discussion on BFS and DFS, the advantages and disadvantages of BFS, and what is heuristic search. So this we will continue in tomorrow's class. So students, we have a class tomorrow also from 11 o'clock, because we have missed one lecture on Wednesday. I had cancelled that lecture. So the fourth lecture of this week will be tomorrow at 11 o'clock. You are free tomorrow at 11 o'clock? That is our regular AI slot only. Is it okay, Divya? Okay, fine. So tomorrow 11 o'clock we will have our fourth class, and Yeah, that's it. Divya, please take the attendance. Done? Okay, you have taken the screenshot. Okay, fine then, students. So we'll meet tomorrow, 11 o'clock. Okay, thank you, all of you. Yeah, thank you.